Hello everybody, we got a new pot for you today, and yeah, this pot is one where it is sort of interior collapse. I had one other pot that did something similar, but we'll see if it jogs memory from seeing this one. But yeah, my wheel head is getting a little bit dirty these days. I don't really have a good way to go about cleaning it, but I think I gotta, you know, take some time and maybe get like a bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket or something, and then, use that for cleaning and getting a lot of this stuff cleaned out. It's hard when you don't have like a particularly larger space to and like a really nice sink with a big drain and all sorts of stuff to be able to like make ceramics. But you gotta do you gotta work with what you got. Um, Here I am. I saw that there was a different type of clay on that wheel head there, and so I wanted to just get that off. You can also see that I didn't do too much wedging today. I'm doing a different type of wedging. It's called ram's head wedging, but that clay, when I cut it into those cubes of 8, it's pretty much already almost like a ball, so I don't really have to do too much. But I had a different stoneware on the bottom. Probably wouldn't have done anything, but I just wanted to make sure I had it all one piece, one piece of clay. Maybe potentially there's an outcome where it shrinks a little bit too much and it cracks because there's 2 different types of clay, so it'll be shrinking at a different rate, but they're both stoneware, and it's probably only the real big difference is just like maybe like a little bit more iron in this brown clay body. I've been also getting a lot more water on that panel. I should be using my sponge. I'm trying to hold the water, like cup it and scoop it, like use my hands as a spoon. But yeah, just a quick up and down for the centering there, and I think it looked pretty cool. Going right into opening the clay little hole, and then I've been really starting to do more of this like kind of like the cup, and then just really go in at an angle downwards, and then sometimes I get it almost perfectly flat on that bottom from the first thing, but sometimes you just have to go over it. A nice slow first pull, get a lot of that clay. So my fingers were cutting a little bit. It was a little bit uncentered in the interior there, so kind of cut off stuff that was uncentered. Get right up underneath there. You don't want it to volcano, so you want to kind of go down underneath the clay and lift it up there. And so that's what we did with that first pull. I mean, this first pull was freaking nice too. It's like, I mean, you could just say the pot's done now. If you wanted, I guess. It'd be kind of a cool thing to glaze, maybe. Yeah, I wanted to do something more interesting with the top, so I've been trying to color that in a little bit more drastic. And maybe we'll do something with a spiral or some other indentation on the surface of the body of the clay. And always just establishing that ring and then just taking it all the way up. I still am trying to work through like this feeling of why the clay on the top gets so thin so quickly. I know that I'm pulling a lot of that out when I get right past the middle and it's getting transferred to height, but it's not like I'm increasing or reducing any of the pressure that I was putting in on the bottom. But still just trying to pull that out. Scoop right up underneath. And you can see I'm trying to tighten and get it a little bit thinner too. You can sort of collar as you're doing your poles, and that can be very helpful. Sometimes collaring can get things off center, but a pole is always really good for that sort of stuff because I feel like it's less likely to get uncentered off the interior there. You can see I'm trying to make something round here, and I thought the top there is a little bit off center, but I thought it was okay. It's not really off center as much as it's like as you're throwing and doing all of your ceramic stuff on the wheel, any little undulation that you kind of messed up in is gonna be sitting right on the top. So if you press your fingers a little bit more close together at one moment, you're gonna see a little bit more of a lift at that one top area. And so the same is if you like jut your arm back and forth real quick. It's the same exact thing that's also gonna show up later on. And so I'm just trying to collar that in, but also keep that sort of like bubble on the top. I'm just thinking to myself, what do I want to do here, right? And I told myself, let's collar it in and see what happens. Let's do I'm going to be doing my spiral pull here. Nice and slow. Just crawling up the side of the pot. Great. And then I slowed down right when I was stopping. I slowed down and I just continued the pull, but as if it was a normal pull. And so that was something new that I did to help preserve that top, so I could keep messing around with it. Yeah, I saw that it was kind of getting a little bit fragile at that edge. And so just trying to fix that a little bit here. And so you can always try to fix by reducing the pitch of that angle. So if it's like this, just try to reduce that a little bit, and then you can cut back in once you finish it. Because what you're doing is you're compressing that clay a little bit, and then you're starting a new area where you can make that shoulder to neck connection. And so sometimes that helps. You could see it was just about to collapse there a second ago, and I sort of did the same exact thing with adjusting the pitch of that angle. And here I'm like, you know what? Like, let's just try something on this top here. Just trying something out. Let's see. Created those lines. Emphasizing them. And I was like, oh, okay, it's coming down now. I also put a hole in right there, but that's okay. Like, it's not really, it doesn't change too much. If anything, it gave me an idea of where I wanted to put my undulation on the skirt at the very end, but I saw that it was like I saw that it was coming out a little bit, and I thought that looked interesting. But then I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? Like, well, first I wanted to make sure that that rim was nice, but then I was like, okay, well, I can also just sort of press this in deeper, right? And so it sort of has this little reservoir in between that you can't really see from the edge on the outside. It curls up, down, then out. So it's kind of interesting. It has this like interesting S shape on the interior there. I was okay with how it turned out there. Probably could you could see how it looked just a second ago, but you can see now I'm just trying to establish the skirt on the bottom. I think that this is actually one of the best of the skirts. I realize that the thinner you go with the skirt, the better it actually looks. The thicker the skirt is, it usually turns out pretty bad. And so here you can see I'm just trying to compress that bottom edge and then pull it out a little bit, and I lifted it up and then I also just pushed it back down because I noticed that it was a little bit too thick on that rim. And then after that, what I did is I'm gonna lift it up here in a second and sort of almost throw that edge, and I finished it as how I would finish a plate or something. And so that was sort of the way that I went about finishing it. And then all I do is I add one of those little undulations on the bottom, and I lined it up for where that hole was on the pot. And when I did that, I don't know, I just thought that sometimes a pot will lead you to find like a breadcrumb for a technique, right? And so when I saw that hole, I realized, oh, this would be a moment that I can emphasize rather than a moment that I need to hide, or a moment that needs to just be left to the wayside, right? And so these things are all just opportunities for you to address as you're throwing on the wheel. But, all right. Thanks for watching. All the best and strong mentality. Peace.